What's up, fam? Good afternoon. This is Coach Flake coming back at you. Another episode today. We're talking about Coach Prime, Coach Deion Sanders, the greatest corner to ever lace him up in the NFL. Bar none, the best corner ever. I don't care what anybody argues with me about. He's the greatest. But today we're not going to talk about his greatness on the field. We're going to talk about his recent issue at the University of Colorado. Seems like there's a secular group out there that tries to make sure everything stays everything, and that they're kind of a watchdog group. Okay, the secular group demands that Coach Prime stop all religious exercises that include his players and staff. They said no more. No more. Now, this group, Freedom from Religion Foundation is the name of the organization. They've said, Prime, you can't do it anymore. And since this complaint was issued with the University of Colorado, the school has took it upon themselves to go ahead and send Coach Prime to some training courses and giving him guidance on what he can and can't do in regards to religion and his staff. Well, y'all, I guess Coach Prime got his first wake-up call at the University of Colorado. Total, we are not in Kansas anymore. This is interesting, y'all. Now, just to let everyone know, not hating on Coach Prime, I believe he's going to be a force to be dealt with at the University of Colorado, as long as he doesn't have too many of these hiccups off the field. We all know he's got to win. That's a must for any coach, right? But he's got to make sure he doesn't upset the folks who make the decisions. Because let's say Prime goes, I don't know, let's say over the next 3 years, Coach Prime wins 24 games. 24 games over the next 3 years. That would be remarkable compared to what the University of Colorado is used to in recent decades. So winning 24 games in 3 years would be outstanding. But if we have more hiccups, it could lead the way for the next coach. It wouldn't be the first time I've seen a coach come into a bad situation, make it a great situation, and then have someone creep on in the back door and take credit for everything that comes after. Dabo Sweeney. Sorry, I had something in my throat there. Dabo Sweeney. There it went again. But anyway, there's a saying. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. You see, fam, at Jackson State University, a historically black college, prayer was applauded, even encouraged, okay? Religion has been a major part of Coach Prime's appeal outside of his athletic prowess. Going to Jackson State University, Coach Prime was very, very much welcomed into the community. And part of his appeal, especially with the older fans that followed the university and were huge fans, was the fact that he had God on his side. because Coach Prime lets you know every moment he's in front of a camera, or almost every moment, that he loves the Lord. Especially my folks, that goes a long way, y'all. The good and the bad people know that. I ain't gonna touch on that any further right there. That's for another day, topic for another day. You know. But upon going to Jackson State University, Coach Prime famously attributed his hiring to God. God brought him to Jackson State University. Now, Coach Prime, never being one lacking confidence, never one to be used as an example of a humble person, went on to say that God, out of God's busy works in this universe, took the time to call him. But I guess God was broke and called Coach Dion, collect. Dion said he was gracious enough to accept the collect charges so that he could accept God's call. I'm not making this up, people. Not making this up. If you're unaware of this, go back and check it out. The man said God called him collecting, and he accepted the charges. I guess he's going to probably get into heaven now because he accepted God's charges. God could call him collecting. So, I jest. He famously said, he said it was a match made in heaven. Match made in heaven. He left heaven not long after that, but maybe heaven's not as... Never mind. Let me get back on subject. Forgive me. Back to it. I do want to say, he also said this during the hiring. This is a God move. It's got to be God. It's got to be God for me to leave all of this. Was it God? Or was it Florida State and other Power 5 schools that said, we didn't call you. We didn't call you direct. We didn't call you collect. Hell, we didn't even text you. Go back to your ranch in Texas. Call these players at your high school. And let us know whenever you want to come visit again. We'll make sure you got a couple tickets. That's what they told him at Florida State, a school where he dominated, Hall of Fame, all that. You know the rest. But Florida State said, no, thank you. And then that's how Jackson State University came into the picture. Or that's when God came into the picture and orchestrated this whole thing. Now, I know what you people who are watching who are going to say that was God's plan. God's plan. God's plan. Okay. But the rest of us know the real. Anyway, I want to give you an example of a prayer that Coach Prime forced at one point his kids, his players, along with some of his staff, to pray with him. And it goes, Prime goes, repeat after me. Lord, I love you. Lord, I thank you. Lord, I magnify you. Lord, I glorify you. Without you, I wouldn't be a thing. A thing. A thing. Amen. Now, there are a lot of folks, depending on what side of the tracks you're on, have no problems with what I just said, what I just repeated. But there are other folks who say it's just not right. Now, I'm not saying whether I believe it's right or whether I believe it's wrong. But I have been in a locker room. And what I know and what I'm going to say to all of you who say, what's wrong with that? If you don't understand the dynamics of team sports, people have a right to have different beliefs. We don't all have to agree on everything. There are people who love the Lord, who pray to the Lord, but prefer to be a bit more understated. There are others who want to shout it from the rooftop. But we're all different. No way is right, no way is wrong. Some people don't believe at all. Doesn't make them a bad person. Doesn't make that kid a bad kid. You can be a sanctimonious person and be living wrong. You can also be an atheist and be the first one to help everyone. Be the one who is always selfless and ready to give, whether it be time, talent, treasure. You see, folks, a person's belief is between themselves and the Maker. And if that person doesn't believe in the Maker, and there is a Maker, then I believe the Maker will do the right thing. But it's not for you, and it's not for me to judge or force upon. I was raised in the Deep South. Church was a major part of my life growing up. So I understand it. When he was in Mississippi, head coach at Jackson State University, his behavior was encouraged. This complaint would have never come from the people of Jackson State, the followers of Jackson State. See, Coach Prime had more power as the head coach of Jackson State. And what he's finding out now at the University of Colorado is that there's a chain of command. You don't run everything like you did at that other school. You know, the one that God called you collect to help out and change. There's going to be times where you're going to have to tap dance, sir. Something you're not used to doing. But you don't own the school like you did in high school, that high school in Texas. You don't own this school. And although you didn't own Jackson State University with all the publicity and notoriety that you brought in, it was like you owned it. The rules have changed, sir. Again, Toto, we aren't in Kansas anymore. One of the arguments or statements made by Freedom from Religious Foundation to the University of Colorado, you hired Coach Sanders to be your coach, not your pastor. Please cease and desist of having player and staff be forced into worship. Again, no matter my religious beliefs, I gotta say, fam, on this one, I gotta give a loss to the greatest cornerback of all time, Coach Prime. I believe the secular organization is correct in its statement. And basically at this point, they are speaking for the players who really can't speak up for themselves in this particular matter. And again, to everyone who disagrees with me, you've probably never been in a locker room. So you do not understand the dynamics of how this works. Coach is king to the players, especially at that level where your coach can make or break your career. Thank you for listening, fam. Enough talk.